welcome to Kodiak Life, and today I am going to show you how to make some of these really cute teeny tiny pouches. And what I think is so neat about these little pouches is they only take a couple little pieces of scrap material. Here's another little pouch and a little snap. So this is a little cam plastic snap. But you can store so many little things in this. So like this is one of those little tiny salve jars, and they fit perfect in this bag with still plenty of room. You can see the sides here. So my thought is you could put any kind of a gift in here for a friend. So here's like a chapstick. And look, there's still a lot of room. So you could put a chapstick, a few pieces of candy, and you could use this as a present for anyone. I think anyone would love to have one of these little tiny bags. So I'm going to show you how to make them. They do not take very long at all. So as you can see, I have an 8-inch circle, and I have a lining piece of fabric and a main piece of fabric, right sides together. I have that 8-inch circle, and with my friction pin I drew a circle all the way around it. So now I can remove my pattern, and I'm going to put my pin in the center. My voice is a little scratchy. I have a little bit of a sore throat today. And so I'm going to do a back stitch here, so all the way around, staying on my line, and another back stitch, and I'm leaving just about a little over 1.5 inches here to turn this project right side out. All right, so I'm going to get going. The other thing that you're going to need for this, other than some way to close the bag, is an iron. All right, let's get going. So one thing about sewing around a circle, and hold my tail, is it's pretty easy, especially with the line that I drew. And you just kind of want to take your time. Don't be in any big hurry. Sometimes I think sewing around a circle can be a little bit intimidating. But with that line, you're just kind of like staying on the line. Except for where I forgot to draw the line. Alright, so I'm just sewing all the way around. As you can see, I'm going nice and slow. Okay, I'm at the end here. I'm going to do a little back stitch. Alright, so now with a pair of scissors, you're going to want to cut out this circle. And as you can see right here, when you get to where the opening is, you're going to want to cut up and around, leaving a little bit more room for your closure here, for your circle. And I always like to snip off any loose threads here. So with a pair of shears, I cut pretty close to the line. The first time I made one of these, I used some pinking shears, and I found out it wasn't really necessary. So I'm cutting, as you can see, just a little bit more of 1/4 inch away from my stitch line. Which you can't see my stitch line, but you can see my little blue friction pin, which is where I cut. So So you're going to want to cut all the way around, turn it right side out, and give it a press at the iron. I'll be right back. Okay, so what I did is turned it right side out, and right here where my opening is, I take a pair of scissors and I do a few little snips. That helps it fold in. And the other thing is, if you stick a chopstick or a wooden spoon up in here, it kind of makes it, the circle lay really flat. And I think what's kind of neat about this little project is it does not take any interfacing. And you can just use a few pieces of leftover fabric to make one of these. So I'm gonna do a top stitch all the way around the project, and I want to be as close to the edge as I can. Sewing all the way around. You know, I've been seeing quite a few different little tiny bags made out of circles, and I felt like, a circle can be difficult, but I really encourage you to give it a try. It's not as hard as you think it might be. Just take your time. Hopefully I'll make it through this project. It looks like I need to change my bobbin. All right, so now I'm just gonna tidy up my threads. Now for this, the rest of this project, I'm not going to use my iron, just so I'm not having to get up and down, but normally I would suggest that at each stage you iron this project. So you're going to want to take your circle and you're going to want to fold it in half. And then I would take it over to the iron and give it a good press. But here at the sewing machine, I'm just going to use my little pressing wheel. You're going to want to open it up. So there's my center line. You're going to want to fold the edges to the center line. And I think it works best if you overlap it about 1/4 of an inch from the center line. So I have this little gauge here, and I'm just putting the very tip of the circle about 1/4 of an inch further than the center line. And then you give that another little press. Do it to the other side. There's my center. Fold to the center. Overlap just that teeny bit of about 1/4 of an inch. So these two pieces are just slightly overlapping here. And give it a press. So you're going to want to come along, and as close as you can, you're going to want to stitch down both of these sides here. So I pull out some thread on my machine, put the needle down. If you hold the ends of these threads, you'll avoid any knotting. So I get it started. Do some back stitching. Okay, so all the way down that edge, as close to the edge as you can. So I think this whole project, using this as like a little gift bag, I mean, you could, I mean, it might be like 50 cents. Or, you know, I mean, so you usually have these little tiny pieces of fabric left over that you don't know what to do with. And so it's all other than just a little bit of your time to make a neat gift for a friend. It's really inexpensive. Okay, do a little back stitching. Okay, this is, and I always tidy up my thread. I think that's something that my grandmother was really big on. If you are always tidying your thread, then at the end of your project you don't have much cleanup to do. Okay. All right, so now this is where we're at. We did that little seam along each side. You open your circle up and you fold it in half, and you're going to see that these two edges where you sewed should line up perfectly. And I put a little wonder clip right there. And then on the other side, those two should line up perfectly here. Mine seem to be just a teeny smidge off, but that's no big deal. All right, I'm going to put one in the center. Okay. So now this is what the project looks like. We're going to sew at about 1/4 of an inch all the way up from this corner to the center here and back stitch. And we're going to do that same thing on the other side. So if you like to put a tag, I mean, you could have put a little tag here in the center. I like to use little tags just so that when I sew gifts for friends, they know that somebody has taken the time to do something for them with a personal touch. Maybe give it a try about right there. Okay. So here we go. Right there, I could have used a stiletto, which I think, oh, there we go. A little purple thing. Have to remember that on the other side. And a little back stitch. I think I forgot to back stitch. And we're going really close to the edge here. And you're going to back stitch again. And you're going to want to do that to the other side. This time, I'm going to use my little tool here to help push that fabric through. Because I'm so close to the edge. Okay. My little tag. So that slid just a little bit on me. Okay. So like I said, that little name tag is not necessary. Off of Amazon, you can get a lot of the little tags that say handmade, which I think is nice because I think a handmade gift has so much more meaning to an individual than just going down to the store, buying something and saying, here you go, I felt like I needed to buy you something. These would make really nice gifts to have at home. Like you could always have like a little stock of these. And then when it's somebody's birthday, you could put something in these little bags. Even like a little bit of cash would be nice, right? For anyone. All right, so we are almost done. You're going to want to turn this wrong side out. And you're going to want to either take a chopstick or some tool to poke out that corner, both corners. Because we're going to do a little bit of boxing of the corners. This tool's kind of handy because it has that really good corner poker. Right. So I like to make a little finger press, or you could take it over to the iron and press the bottom of the bag here. You are going to need a ruler if you want to, and I have my friction pin here. So I'm going to open up my project. And in the center, you're going to see that center line that I just made the crease here. Because when I go to box this corner in up, that's going to give me something to line this side and this side up. And I can actually feel that with my finger there. You can also look inside of the bag and make sure that this seam is in the center of the little bag. So normally I would do this on my mat, but here's my 1-inch line. Okay, I'm going to put the tip at 1 inch. And with my ruler, now that I've moved that, I'm going to do it from this angle. So I'm going to put that tip. It's always a little bit hard when you're trying to video something. So here's my tip. It's up here at 1 inch until I move. And then I'm just going to draw a line across with my friction pin. So because this was sewn at an angle here, it might even be easier to make that 1 inch mark on the other side. So put it 1 inch again, because this is going to be a lot flatter. And I'm going to want to sew across this line here. So you can get a good, really good picture of that. I think I'm in the camera pretty well. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to sew across. And I'm going to backstitch all the way across. And that's going to box in that little corner here for me. Okay. And then if you take this over to the iron, and iron it, those little that friction pin marking will go away. So I'm going to do that same process here, lining this up with the center mark. And I think even if you're on this cute little tiny project, if it is off a little bit, the project is so small that no one's going to notice. Okay, so I'm up at 1 inch. I'm just going to sketch in my line here for my corner. Make sure I'm all the way in the camera view. So there's my 1 inch from the tip. And you could experiment, you know, what does it look like at a 1/2 inch? Right? And you could also just sew across using the gauge here on your sewing machine. So I can see right here that this is my 1 inch mark on my sewing machine, and that's exactly where the tip is. So again, sew forwards and then lock it in, going all the way backwards. And my project is done, other than putting some kind of closure. Okay, so I'm going to just turn it right side out. And look at this. I mean, this little bag, so you can see the side here, and this side. Is that not absolutely adorable? And then that's where it closes. So just push these in, put your snap on it, give it a little press, and you have this absolutely adorable small gift bag that you could put some cash in, some candy, some salve. This is some salve that I purchased from a local artist where I live. It's cottonwood salve that she made, and you know, chapstick. You could put all candy, all kinds of goodies in here. All right, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Oh, just thought of another thing. You could even sew in like a little bit of rickrack right here on this side. So sew in some rickrack, and you could have a loop, and then you could put a lobster clasp on it. That's the way I'm going to try my next one, with the little lobster clasp over there, and then you could actually connect this little bag to a zipper or anything really. So I hope that you enjoyed this little project. I'm going to get busy sewing some more. I'm so excited, and thank you for joining me on Sew Kodiak Life.